Hey guys, welcome back to 90's Obscurity. We have a lot going on here today because I have Tommy Gardner here from Yachtley Crew.
Hello.
I'm very excited.
Thanks for having me.
I know, it's the first guest I've had in my studio, and this is also the first video podcast I have done.
I feel honored, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I'm so
Even
excited.
though I didn't know I was doing this 5 minutes ago.
I kind of sprung it on him last minute,
like,
but...
Let's have margaritas and tacos. And by the way, you're doing a podcast. So I'm like 2 or 3 margaritas deep and a ranch water.
That's always the best, though, because if you don't want to be prepared, you know? I feel like...
I am not prepared, that is for sure.
Yeah,
so.
Live is better, I think.
That's right.
I'm going to spring...
We're just winging it.
Yep, we're going to wing it. It's going to be great. So, we are going to talk yacht rock. Oh. We are going to talk about Tommy's favorite 90s bands, which he's already told me about. And it's going to be awesome. So I do want to let everybody know, though, so there's going to be 2 different versions of this released. So audio is going to be my typical radio show where we play the songs we talk about. Video, we can't play songs, so you are going to get our beautiful faces.
Go over to the audio to listen to the songs after the video.
But so I actually heard recently, like, you get way more views on video than you do listeners for audio. People like watching. Yeah.
People like video.
I know.
Who knew?
They do. They want to look at us. And look at my beautiful 90s studio in the background.
This is amazing. Look at this.
Yeah.
There's Rolling Stone issues, 90s nails posters.
And 90210. I love 90210. This is a big favorite. Yep. Brenda's weirdly close to her brother. The 90s were so incestuous with their brothers. And sisters, like Clueless, she ends up with her stepbrother. Cruel Intentions, the stepbrother, the stepsister.
Oh my God, you're right.
And now we look at if you look at them on that cover, that's weird. You guys are brother and sister, and you look like you're about to go on a date. Yeah. And Dylan's like the third.
It's
wheel.
like subliminal messages to everybody, like it's okay to sleep with your brother.
It's okay.
It's not okay to sleep with your brother.
It's okay to sleep with your brother. I can't. All right. First thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about yacht rock.
Yes, let's talk about yacht rock.
We're going to talk about yacht rock.
I'm quite an authority on yacht rock.
He is.
I feel like I'm okay to talk about that.
You're the spokesperson for yacht
rock.
rock.
One of. There's a few of us, but you know.
Uh-huh. So, Yachtley Crew, I think, is actually the reason that I knew yacht rock was even a thing. Like
that's awesome.
A genre.
Thank you. I
did not know. Like, honestly, I heard of you guys, and I was like, what is Yachtley Crew, and why are they in hats? Like, I'm confused. And then now, I mean, I feel like it's a phenomenon.
Totally.
But I also realized that I love yacht rock, actually.
Right. A lot of people love yacht rock, even if they don't know what yacht rock is.
Yeah.
You actually do know what yacht rock is. You just didn't know it was called yacht rock, pretty much. So it's all like the soft rock songs from the 70s and 80s, usually late 70s, early 80s, but it kind of, there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
And it's basically like Toto, Michael McDonald, Steely Dan, Kenny Loggins. Some Eagles songs creep in. Okay. Some of them are kind of considered classic rock, but there's a lot of like overlapping, and we like to say it's like a feeling. You know what I mean?
What about Chicago?
I think some Chicago songs land in. And yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. If it's smooth, then it's yacht rock.
Okay.
If you feel like you should be listening to it on a boat, then it's probably yacht rock.
So, I have a theory, and I think I've said this to you before, that I think yacht rock is a big thing now because I think it's people our age, like late 30s, early 40s, that we grew up kind of like hating this music, honestly, like, because your mom would make you listen to it in the back seat, and now it's a nostalgic thing where we're like, oh, we love it because it reminds us of growing up.
For a lot of people, I think that you are correct. For me, I always loved it and kind of like hid it because I thought it wasn't cool. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people actually stand, but they want to say that they used to hate it, but it was actually like, I actually kind of loved it, and now that, it's kind of cool to like it now. Yeah. And especially my band, we try to make it cool. We rock the songs a little harder, and we're kind of like in on it a little bit,
But it wasn't cool even like 15 years ago, I feel like, because my friend and I back home, we both secretly loved Peter Cetera, The Glory of Love. Mm-hmm. And she like secretly made a CD for herself with Peter Cetera on it, and I heard it and I went, what's this? And she was like, oh, and she got real like this look on her face, like she was so embarrassed, and I was like, no, I love this song too. And she was like, okay, all right, good, me too. So
it's a great song, first of all.
Oh, it's the Karate Kid too.
Come on,
it's like,
Karate Kid. This is
so
quintessential
romantic.
80s we're talking about.
I feel like
here.
that, like the 80s had like real romance, you know,
For
and then I don't know.
And then the 90s, everything got.
Yeah, everyone got depressed.
I love the 90s. First of all, let me just say
Clearly,
that.
me
Obviously.
too. Me too.
Oh, really? I never knew that. No. Yeah, but in the 90s were a different vibe, and it was all about being like too cool for school in the 90s.
Yeah, like you didn't smile in pictures.
Right, yeah.
You didn't wear clothes that fit you. Like it wasn't cool.
I had a chain wallet and big Jenko jeans.
Yeah.
Really baggy, like way too baggy. Insanely
Me
baggy.
too, and I'm a girl, so that really wasn't flattering. And I didn't skateboard. I know that women dress like lumberjacks. Let me see. What was I gonna say? Okay, so I want to hear about when you joined Yachtley Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to hear about at what point you guys knew this was really going to be huge and be a thing.
Okay. Well, we should probably tell everybody that I play guitar in the band and I sing.
Thank you.
I sing. I'm not the lead singer, but I do sing a few songs. So I was, I am a singer-songwriter and I do my own music. Check me out on Spotify under Thomas Gardner Jr.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. Don't worry.
We'll get to that. But I was basically like, I want to join a cover band because I want to make a few extra bucks on the weekend. That's literally what I thought. Yeah. And so I went on Craigslist, and as musicians do, I mean, if people don't know, people are still using Craigslist to this day to find other musicians. So yeah, I don't know why somebody hasn't come up with something better than that, but Craigslist is kind of where it is.
Okay.
So I went on Craigslist, and the drummer and bass player from Yachtley Crew, who are now some of my best friends, they had posted that they were looking for a guitar and a singer. So I said, well, I love yacht rock. I've always I had a yacht rock playlist on Spotify already. I was like, I love this. That would be amazing.
And this was what year?
2016, early 2016.
Oh.
Probably April, May of 2016.
Oh, okay.
So I went and jammed with them, and they offered me the gig on the spot. And they're kind of veterans of the cover circuit. And although we don't call Yachtley Crew a cover band because we're not a cover band, we're a show. And also we do original music. But we may have started as a cover band, but now we're a full-fledged show, and it has graduated from there. What was I saying?
So at what point did you know it was going to be just huge? Because I remember when I met you, you were like, yeah, I just thought this was going to be a side thing. And you were like, oh, no, this is what I do now.
I mean, honestly, so our first show was in January of 2017. And even the very first show, the reaction to it was like, oh, I knew we had something the very first show. Okay. I was like, oh, we have, our singer is amazing. All of the musicians are really good. And it's just something about the collection of people that we have together, which I think is an underrated thing in bands. Bands in general, a lot of it is the camaraderie you have with the other with the other guys in the band, and if you guys don't get along, I think that comes off on stage. So our band, we're a band of brothers. Everybody knows their role. Everybody is happy with their role, which is another part of it,
Everyone wants to be the singer. I have that theory. Everybody wants to be the singer.
In other bands, not in our band. I'm honestly I sing, like I said, I sing 2 or 3 songs, and I love that because I don't have to.
You sing as the lead?
Yeah, on 2 or 3 songs. Cool. I do backups on every song.
Yeah, but, I thought so.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just I think that's better for my personality. Okay. I don't know. I'm not a very look at me type of person. So So
at what point were you guys all right, we're gonna learn choreography and get outfits and make this a whole thing?
That even before the first show, I mean, and it's been an evolution. We've added choreo as time has gone on, and we've added lights, and we've added things that we do on stage, and it's it's been kind of an evolution. But even from the start, we always were we're gonna be the Kiss of soft rock. Okay. We're gonna be anybody can go up and play the songs. We're gonna go up and put on a show. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're gonna play the songs great, and we're gonna sound like the record, but we're also gonna entertain the F out of you. Can I say the F word?
Yeah, you can.
We're gonna entertain the fuck out of you. And
Spotify will slap an explicit on this. That's
now
okay.
we have the explicit.
That's okay. That means we're cool, right?
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, I can't really point to like a moment where it was like, oh, now it's going to be big. It was just kind of like from the beginning, it was like, it's kind of been like a rocket ride is what I say. And I've been in a bunch of other bands throughout my life, and I always use the analogy of like, it was a very like, I think it's Sisyphus, the Greek mythology, where you're like, he's like trying to roll the boulder up a hill. You know what I mean?
I read a self-help book where she calls it rolling a marshmallow up a hill.
Right, or that.
Same
so
thing.
It's like, it just feel, and if, while everybody's watching you, that's the other thing. You feel like, original music, you feel like you're like rolling this boulder up a hill, and, or not just original music, but just in any band, you know what I mean? You feel like you're like trying to like get this thing going, and everyone's like, wow, that really... Yeah, nice job. You're really trying to do that, you know? And then with Yachtley Crew, and I think maybe when some things are just like meant to be, that's the other thing, is like, I just feel like this band has been like, it just was meant to be. And I'm not a believer in like spiritual stuff like that.
I'm gonna argue with you because you're an Aquarius, and Aquariuses are very spiritual.
Yes, Rachel is she's told me she's into the astrology.
I said Aquariuses are always on like a spiritual quest to better themselves. And you didn't disagree with me.
Sure. Well, I mean, I am on a quest to better myself, so there we go.
He just wants to take the word spiritual out
get
of
the
it.
spiritual out. But what I'm saying is, like, I kind of feel like that everything, like, when I joined this band, it was just like, literally the boulder was like, dink, and it went off the hill, and it's just like, oh, everything's just going.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we haven't worked hard and we haven't really put a lot into it, but it just feels like everything is happening for a reason.
Cool. That's awesome. So we're going to switch gears for a second because obviously 90s Obscurity, we want to talk about 90s music. So I asked Tommy what his, I shouldn't say favorite 90s band, but one of your favorites that was kind of obscure. And what did
kind of obscure. Oh, I said the Refreshments. And I mean, are they like one of my favorite bands ever? No, but like as obscure 90s bands go, my head goes to them because I feel like not a lot of people know about them, and they have like 2 or 3 really good songs.
Okay. Yeah. Why them out of all the obscure 90s bands?
I don't know. I love the song Banditos, and when I talk to people even people that love the 90s, they kind of don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just the area I grew up in, Rhode Island. It was just like, we had 95.5 WBRU, which is the Brown University radio station, but it's not like a college radio. It's like kind of a mixture of college and commercial, and although it's gone now, R.I.P. But at the time, they would play that all the time, and so they played the song Banditos by the Refreshments, and I love that song. So
the great thing about Tommy is no matter where you are, he will bust into song.
That's true. So just how far down do you want to go? If we could talk it out over a cup of joe, and you could look deep into my eyes like I was a supermodel.
Yeah. So, he said, do you remember the Refreshments? And I was like, I don't think so. And then he did what he just did and started singing it. And I was like, yeah, I 100% remember that song. So I also grew up in Boston, so close to Rhode Island. So I don't know. I don't know if it was just a thing where we grew up or if people know it. So I have a fun fact about the Refreshments.
Oh, let's hear it.
Did you know that they wrote the theme song to the show King of the Hill?
I did not know that.
Isn't that funny?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know that show. I don't know the theme song, but...
I don't either. But that's like when you... So I read this about them, and then when you look them up, that's actually the second song that comes up on Spotify. It says King of the Hill theme song.
That's rad.
I know. Crazy. So these guys, we've decided they clearly love Mexico.
Yes, they sing a lot about Mexico. And in fact, they even talk about how much they sing about Mexico.
Yeah. So, because after he mentioned it, I listened to Banditos, and I was like, oh, this actually isn't a bad song, because I thought it was going to be kind of cheesy. He doesn't think it's cheesy.
But I'm also in a yacht rock band, so maybe not the best judge.
Not the best judge of character. But, so I like the next song that came up after Banditos was called Mexico. And I was like, wow, these guys really love Mexico. And then you said they had another song.
It's one of their songs that's like, here's another song about Mexico. And it's like, yeah, at least he knows that you keep singing about
They
Mexico.
totally make fun of themselves. So I want to play one more song that you mentioned that you liked.
Oh, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yes, you did.
No, I'm sure I did, but what was it?
Down Together.
Oh, another Refreshments song, yes.
Yeah.
Let's go down, down together. It's a really catchy melody.
Was that also on the radio?
It was, yeah. In Rhode Island it was.
Okay.
That's all I can speak for.
90's Obscurity, guys.
90's Obscurity, this is what you're
here for. That one's so obscure, I don't even think I know it. And I'm actually going to listen to it while we play it, because I just want to know if I know it. Because I don't
You
know.
might. It's pretty catchy.
Guys,
we're back.
I do know that song.
She knows it.
And I like it.
See that?
It was good.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
I bet they liked it too.
What's that?
I bet they liked it too.
Who?
The people listening.
I bet you guys liked it.
Or watching.
If you didn't, whatever.
Who are you?
What do you even listen to?
Come on. Why are you on 90's Obscurity if you don't like the Refreshments?
Yeah. So, another band we talked about.
Okay.
Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh my gosh. I was just listening to this in the van with Yachtley Crew the other day.
Which song?
We were listening to, we listened to Peaches, we listened to Kitty, we listened to Lump, but I also love Little Dune Buggy.
Oh.
Little Dune Buggy in my hair. Another one you don't know. That whole album is good.
I mean, it is 90's Obscurity, so I do play the ones that people don't know normally. But you reminded me of Kitty because
Kitty isn't talked about as much, but it's.
But I did
Kitty
know it.
in my foot and I wanna touch it. Kitty in my foot and I
Do you
wanna
think that's
touch it.
Do you think that's
Kitty
a dirty
in my foot and I
reference? It sounds.
No, I think they're just weird. They literally talk about like the weirdest shit.
Everybody in the 90's was weird. Like, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say. I was like, first of all, that's the weirdest name for a band. Like, it's the longest name ever.
Yeah. But it's memorable. Everybody remembers the presidents of the United States.
And I looked them up today, too. I always look up bands before I talk about them. And they actually were together until 2015. And then
what happened?
They made an official announcement that they felt like old men.
Wow.
I know.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all? But you don't need to break up the band,
Come
guys.
on, man. Keep playing.
Yeah, but the 90's were just, it was a weird time. So I'm going to do, in the future, an episode, and you know what I'm going to call it? I'm going to call it the OK Soda edition.
Yes, that's the other thing we talked about.
Because it's like, I want to just feature weird things that were popular in the 90's, right?
And nobody knows about OK Soda. It might have been a Northeast regional thing because
That's
I've
what I'm
never
wondering.
talked to anybody else that knows. It was owned by Coca-Cola, though, so it wasn't that obscure. It was obviously a big corporate thing. And there was, like, weird people on the covers of the cola.
Yep.
We're not supposed to talk about it now? You want
No, it's fine. I mean, I'll do another one. But, so I saw it recently on that Instagram page, I am 30 AF, and they are also out of Salem, though.
Oh, see.
So, because I was like, oh, they know it. And then I'm like, wait a minute, they also grew up in the same area. Because I don't know anybody really that remembers it except like people that grew up in New England. But so there was a phone number you'd call, and it was 1-800-I-FEEL-OK. And this is the only one I remember. Like, you could record yourself being like, I drank OK Soda, and like, this amazing thing happens.
I wonder what would happen if we called that number right now.
I thought that. Maybe we'll do that in the next break and see. So you could call.
We should be recording it when we do it. It's going to be like some woman answer the phone.
Somebody bought the rights to that phone number, probably. Capitalist. So you would call 1-800-I-FEEL-OK. And like you could, my friend and I would call every day after school. And we would record ourselves saying the stupidest things. And if your story was good enough, they'd play it the next day.
Play it on what?
So
on the when you called.
When you called, it would have people's recorded. And all I remember was this guy, he goes, I drank OK Soda, and I burped up a ring I swallowed when I was 4. And I was like, that was really creative and good. And I was 12, and I was like trying to think of like cool stories that would happen to me when I drank OK Soda. Mine were never featured, guys.
Come on. Damn it. Come on, OK Soda.
I don't think they were good. My stories weren't good. But OK Soda, I think, was pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to call it the OK Soda edition, and I want to feature all just like weird, like really weird bands from the 90's, like the Crash Test Dummies. Like, what was that? What was that song about?
That was a weird song, but it was also good and kind of emotional. And he had a really even lower voice than me. Like, I can't even do that.
Deep baritone. This was this girl.
And I have a low voice. That's good, yeah.
I know, me too.
Got into an accident.
I mean, you're pretty close.
I'm really hamming it up there.
And like the Butthole Surfers, like what a name.
And also Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Oh, I forgot about that. Well, you know what's funny is on this episode I was going to feature the Bloodhound Gang because I remember they had like some weird songs.
Yeah.
But I actually listened to them.
Discovery Channel, that was their song, right?
Yeah.
Was it called Discovery?
No, it's called like Touch, something Touch.
The Touch or You and Me, baby, ain't nothing but males. No.
I just looked it up actually.
Everybody watching this right now is like, it's called this.
Yeah.
You idiots.
But the song I was actually thinking about with them was The Roof is on fire. It was called Fire, Water, Burn. So I added that song. So guys, if anyone wants to look up this playlist of mine, God bless you. It's called Obscure 90's Alt Rock, and it's all songs I'm going to feature on the show at some point. So I added that Bloodhound Gang Bloodhound Gang.
That was a tongue twister. I'm not going to hate on you for that.
Thank you. I added that to the playlist, and I listen to it sometimes in the car. And that song came on, and I was like, man, this is a good song. Like what? Like when it just the guitar started, and I look and I'm like, oh my god, it's the Bloodhound Gang song that I was gonna make fun of. And I'm like, no, actually, I
can't make fun of this. It's good.
The Discovery song, whatever, Discovery Channel song was good. Yeah. That was a catchy song, but I always thought The Roof on Fire was like a weird 90s song, and then I listened to it and I'm like, no, actually, the song
it's actually good.
It's actually really good.
It's odd because usually you go back and hear songs that you used to love and be like, this song's terrible.
Yes.
Because your taste changes as you get older.
But I do, and that's actually why I started the show, is because recently I've been having the opposite thing happen where, do you remember Imperial Drag? They had a song called Are You a Boy or a Girl?
No.
Okay, I'll play it for you.
Okay.
It's so good. Did you ever know the band Jellyfish?
Yes, we talked. No, wait. Jelly or Jellyfish?
No, Jellyfish. I know, nobody knows them. They're very quirky. And I feel like you would like them.
Wait, I feel like we talked about this.
We did.
Did they sing the song that I like?
No, I don't actually think you knew them. I think I played you something quickly.
There's one song. It's called... Oh, God, I'm going to look it up.
Okay, but they started a band after them called Imperial Dragon. Like I don't know. I thought they were okay in the 90s, and I listen to it now. Yeah. Baby's coming back.
Baby's coming back. That's the song.
Do you know that one?
'Cause I'm on my best behavior. I love that song.
Oh, okay. So you.
But that's the only song I know by them. So.
Okay, so I'll play you. Are You a Boy or a Girl? Because honestly, that one Imperial Drag hit, I think is better than all of the Jellyfish. I love Jellyfish.
Why are you comparing the two?
Because they're the same guys.
Oh.
So after Jellyfish, the guy, I think 3 of the members, not all of them, but they started Imperial Drag, and I rediscovered them recently, and I'm going, this has got to be the guys from Jellyfish because they have such like a distinct sound, right? And it was. But they're so good. So sometimes the opposite happens where I think you rediscover songs like from the 90s that you're like, oh, it was okay, and then you're like, damn, this is really good.
Okay.
So briefly.
So you hear the ice in my drink.
Yep, guys, we're getting tipsy. Oh no, I hosted another podcast and we would drink out of wine glasses every time, and you know I feel like that's what makes a good show. Like the drunker I get, I feel like the funnier I am.
Yeah, or at least we think we're funnier.
At least I think I'm funny. Yeah. No, because I watch them back and I'm like, oh, the episodes are actually better when I have a few drinks.
There we go.
Yeah. So I wanted to briefly talk about your favorite band, 311.
One of my favorite bands, for sure. I would say my favorite band is the Beatles.
Okay.
And I don't even think...
Favorite 90s band?
Favorite 90s band is probably 311.
Okay.
Which is a very specific... And it's either... I feel like they're a love or hate band. People either love are like obsessed with them like me, or they hate them.
Sure.
But the people that hate them just don't know what they're talking about, because 311 is amazing.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the story about how you came to know Nick?
I do know Nick.
I think it's
Nick
a great
is a friend
story,
of mine. He's a super awesome guy. I have nothing but nice things to say about him. So I'm a 311 fan, and I follow all the guys on Twitter, and I live in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, which is where this is happening right now. We are in Los Angeles, but we're not in the San Fernando Valley.
No.
we're not going to disclose this current location for safety reasons, but I live in the San Fernando Valley, so...
and we won't tell you where Nick lives.
Nick was tweeting about his rec league basketball team, and I legitimately was looking for a rec league basketball team. I play basketball. I played in high school. I like to play to like stay in shape, and I'm also 6'5", which makes me halfway decent at basketball by default. And so I responded to his tweet and was just like, hey, he said something about how his team had won that day. And I said, hey, if you're ever looking for another player, I live in the Valley and I'm 6'5". And he like wrote me back immediately and was like, hey, well, we're always looking for guys, so I'll let you know.
Did you fanboy out so hard?
In my head, but like I also know that they're like super cool guys, and they're not like rock star attitude type dudes.
But I think if anyone I loved, like a band or otherwise, tweeted me or wrote to me on social media, I'd probably
So
I'd
honestly
fangirl out pretty hard.
They're known for being very active with their fans,
okay.
So I just thought they were just being. I thought he was just being like cool to like a fan, and I was like, oh, that was nice of him, like to say that or whatever. And 6 months go by. And I hadn't heard anything, so I was like, yeah, he was just being nice. Like, that's still cool that he was doing that. And then out of nowhere, after 6 months, he sends me a DM, and it was like, hey, do you still want to play basketball? And I was like, yeah. So now I play on Team Grassroots, which is their second album. It's called Grassroots, and so the team is named after them, Team Grassroots.
Okay.
And
when you just said play for a second, I thought you meant you played on an album, and I was like, wait, you didn't tell me that?
No, but we have jammed.
Cool.
Once at a party.
So that's awesome, though. Fun. I mean, like, what a dream, though.
Yeah, it was great.
This is why I love LA. Like, not to be a douche. Like, oh my god, living in LA is so awesome. But like,
things like that can happen.
Things like that happen here, and also like when you go to shows, a lot of times, surprise guests will always come out. That it's like I'm like, okay. This would only like Eddie Vedder would only come out as a surprise guest at a Chris Cornell show in LA. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean like, oh, I'm at Hotel Cafe and John Mayer showed up.
Right.
And like that happens here. It's insane.
It's great.
And especially what's underrated with that is comedy. You can go to the Comedy Store or what's the other one?
Improv.
The Improv.
The Laugh Factory.
The Improv. Yeah. And like I went to the Improv and Daniel Tosh showed up and just did a whole set. Yeah, and I was like, I just paid $10 to see a whole Daniel Tosh show.
I got you. I got you beat. Yeah. So I went to a comedy festival a couple years ago in Irvine, and it was like Louis C.K. and Sarah Silverman, like all the big ones, and Dave Chappelle showed up as the encore as a surprise.
I mean, there you go. Yeah,
and
that's not going to happen in
Indiana,
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Wherever, so.
I know. So what do you love about 311?
Well,
just I just love.
The songwriting's great, but also I love that. I just love all different types of music, and they're one of the bands that like, and along with like Chili Peppers before them, and after them, Linkin Park. You can go down the line of like the family tree of that kind of stuff, but it's like, if you loved rock and roll and hip hop, why wouldn't you put rock and roll and hip hop together? It just like makes sense. And they did it in a way that hadn't been done in the 90s. Like, okay, there was the Chili Peppers before them, and around the same time Rage Against the Machine was coming out, and they were doing like their angry metal rap thing, which I fucking love. I love Rage Against the Machine, and there is a place for that. But 311 was doing like, we're gonna be the positivity band. That's the thing that a lot of people don't know about 311 is they have a community of fans that is based on positivity and unity and inclusion, and so that's just all of those things. And on top of that, I love the song, so that just like lined up with.
They almost have like a reggae vibe to them too, though.
For sure. But that's that goes back to like they mix like rock, not just rock and roll, but metal and like jazz on some albums, and reggae and hip hop. It was like, this was like, we're gonna put it all in like a melting pot, which makes sense that they're from Omaha, which is like the middle of the United States, where it's like, I'm sure they got all of that kind of stuff.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Chili Peppers, because I read Anthony Kiedis' book recently, Scar Tissue, and he never meant to be a singer. because he was like, you know, but he loved being on stage and he loved
music.
He's a
performer and he's a front man for sure.
Yeah, but when hip hop came out, he was like, oh, you know, I can just be a hip hop singer, and so that's why their earlier stuff like Give It Away now. It's more rap, you know.
Wait, what is it? Give it away now.
Give it away now. Or Suck
and
My
the stuff
Kiss.
before Blood Sugar Sex Magic too, their stuff is very less melodic and a lot of like rapping, if you want to call it rapping, a lot of talking.
I didn't realize they've been around since like the 80s.
Oh my god.
Guys, this is crazy for anyone who doesn't know this. Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and Pearl Jam all opened for the Chili Peppers in the 90s. Like, isn't that crazy? I didn't realize they'd been around that long. So Anthony Kiedis had to take voice lessons because at one point he wrote Under the Bridge. It was actually a poem he wrote. And Rick Rubin saw it and he was like, dude, that needs to be a song. And he was like, no, you know, it's just a poem. And he's like, no, like, that needs to be a song. And so it was when John Frusciante was playing guitar. And John could just read his lyrics and just know how it was supposed to sound. But Anthony was really self-conscious about his voice. And I guess he bombed on SNL. Because like John played it the wrong key or something. They were having a lot of issues.
Right.
And I just thought that was so crazy because I would never think that he didn't mean to like be an actual singer. You know what I mean? Like it's wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's so good though, and like he's not a great singer. Here's the thing: Anthony Kiedis would never win American Idol.
But like
and
neither would
Neil Young,
neither
or
would
Bob
Courtney
Dylan,
Love
or Courtney,
anyone from the 90s, right? Like that's kind of why the 90s were interesting because it was like you could just play power chords and yell, and you didn't have to be a great vocalist, and you didn't have to be a great guitarist.
But that's what music is about. It's about like emotion and soul, you know, and that's what I love about the 90s. Is that was like, as much as the 80s were amazing, and I'm just because you love the 90s doesn't mean you have to hate the 80s, but the 80s were very party and good times, which is needed. There's a place for that, and of course glam, and then of course the 90s was the answer to that. So it's not that there's like one is good, and there's always like people are like, this is one or the other, but it's like they're both awesome. We can enjoy both.
So what are you on Spotify as?
Thomas Gardner Jr.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I go by Tommy in my day-to-day, but there was already like 2 Tommy Gardners, and one of them was like a children's music person, and I was like, I need to not have people look me up and find children's music.
I'm surprised you didn't pick like another last name to go by.
I know. I don't know what I would pick, though. I'm just me.
I know. I'm the same because I have a boring last name too, and I'm always like, I should do something else. But I've published books under my name. And
my Yachtley Crew name is Tommy Buoy.
Oh.
So I could have been Tommy Buoy, I guess, but
you could have. But are you trying to separate yourself from Yachtley Crew with your original music?
I guess so. I don't know. My original stuff was before Yachtley Crew. Okay. So it's kind of like,
so it's
it is what it is. I like all different types of music, so I'm kind of all over the place with my style and everything, but all last year I was kind of just inspired to do like a sunny type of thing, whereas like my EP before that was like a country type of thing, and the EP before that was like a folk melancholy type song.
So you're all over the place.
So I'm all over the place, which has always been a problem for me. It was like I can't just decide. I'm like, I want to do this thing and be put in this box.
I've done the same thing. I mean, I've published 5 books, and it's, you know, people are like, oh, what are they? And I'm like, well, one's young adult, one's a vegetarian cookbook, like one's a family drama. Like I don't specialize in anything. Right. Because I like to experiment, and I like to see what does well, you know, because sometimes one sells more than the other, or sometimes you're just inspired by something. So I don't think we need to be pigeonholed in anything. Do you remember when Chris Cornell released a techno album?
I don't remember that. That happened?
Yeah. And like Trent Reznor ripped him a new one.
Really?
Yeah, this was in like 2009. It actually, the songs weren't bad, but it sounded like Justin Timberlake would have sang it. Like it wasn't Chris Cornell at all. It was, oh my God, after we finish, I'll play you one. You'll be shocked.
Okay.
It's so not Chris Cornell. It's very like it sounds like
why does he have to be the grunge guy his whole life?
I know, but it's just because that's what he did for so long, and we actually saw him on that tour, and he played some old stuff, and then the new stuff. Like the songs, it sounded like sexy back, like Justin Timberlake. Right. It was crazy.
So one of my favorite artists ever is Neil Young, and he is like the king of being like, oh, you want to put me in this box? I'm gonna go over here and do this. Okay. You want to like make me the '70s singer-songwriter guy? I'm gonna write like a 50s rock and roll type of album.
I didn't know that about him.
And then he's also known as like the godfather of grunge. So you should do some Neil Young deep diving because
I know Eddie Vedder loves him, and
Eddie
he always covers him.
And Kurt Cobain quoted him in his suicide note. I don't know if you know that.
Really? No.
Yeah. It's better to burn out than fade away.
That's a Neil Young quote?
That's a Neil Young quote, yeah.
I did
from
not
his
know
song, Needle in the Damage Done, I believe.
No way.
Oh, no, it's Hey Hey My My. It's Hey Hey My My. I'm wrong. It's better to burn out than it is to rust. And he has like, different versions of that song.
Oh, wow. No,
anyway.
I thought Kurt made that up.
No, that's a Neil Young quote, yeah.
Well,
so
guys,
he's the godfather of grunge.
This is why I do this show, because people teach me something every day about
especially
90s music.
Neil Young with Crazy Horse. His stuff with Crazy Horse was like really heavy in the 70s. And so like a lot of the 90s guys were inspired by that.
Okay, all right. And then before we play Sex on the Beach, I know. So this is their first original song. So This is a big deal, guys. So did you collaborate? Did you write it together?
Yeah, we wrote it together. Okay. Mostly me and the singer of the band. So I kind of had the idea. Our most popular song with Yachtley Crew is the Pina Colada song, Escape. And I was just like, man, this song is like every time we play it, like the audience just explodes. So I was like, we need a song like singing about a drink because it just like kind of fits the vibe of all this. I was like, well, what if we're like naming a bunch of drinks in the song? So the song talks. I
listened to it.
Yeah, so the song talks about a bunch of different drinks, and then, the girl says, "I know what I want. I want sex on the beach." So it's like it's cheeky.
Sexual innuendo.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised you picked up on that. I'm kidding,
guys, I'm smarter than I look. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate
that.
Fun. I know I sprung it on you.
No,
I made him tacos and margaritas.
But now I'm going to be thinking about
I
should have talked about this 90s song that I love.
I mean, I do.
We didn't talk about Athenaeum.
You don't live that far from me, and I do this every week, so you can always come back. I will make you margaritas and we're both vegetarians, so.
There we go. We're so LA.
I
know. Most LA.
So I'm going to do some Instagram plugs.
Okay.
So the show's Instagram is 90's Obscurity, 90's Obscurity. If anyone wants to email me song suggestions, artists you want to see on the show, it's 90's Obscurity Radio at Gmail. So 90's Obscurity Radio at Gmail. And you want to plug your social media?
Sure. My personal social media is at Thomas Gardner Jr. Thomas Gardner, Gardner, Jr. And Yachtley Crew's Instagram is at Yachtley Crew, and that's yacht, like the boat yacht, Ley, Crew, Crew. You
have any upcoming shows?
Yes.
You guys have a bunch, actually. I looked you up.
Yes, go to our website, yachtrockband.com or yachtleycrew.com, same thing. And you can see all of our dates wherever you are listening from. We're probably heading to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, they tour a lot.
We do. Yeah, especially on the West Coast.
Love yacht rock.
But we just did an East Coast run, and we're going back to the East Coast in the fall, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. No specific dates, but we are going back to the East Coast in the fall.
Cool. All right, guys. Yachtley Crew, subscribe to them, and I will see you guys next time.
See ya.